to the spotlight. Let's go.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome inside another edition of the Kreative Kollective Podcast. I am yours truly, Mr. Shomari KRL, aka Redymix DMT. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. And as I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, we have a good one. We have some superstars, some millionaires in the waiting room right now. I've seen all of them laughing because they know there's millionaires, they just want to deny it. But anyway, shout out to everybody right now that's locked in tonight. As you guys saw at the beginning of the hour, we have so many different things to talk about tonight. Before I get to my guests, quickly, of course, as you guys know that this stream is sponsored by Travi, our primary sponsor. And of course, take the stress out of your daily commute with Travi right now, or pre-book your rides for a later date with Travi. Safety remains Travi's #1 priority. So with Travi, you can add up to 5 emergency contacts in an event of an emergency and use the SOS button on the Travi app to alert them immediately. So download Travi right now to your mobile phone from whatever it is, whether it be Android or Apple. And of course, Travi is getting you there safely. Experience Travi. As per usual, the lights behind me, I gotta shout out Control Entertainment for always giving us the hookup with the lighting. Have my house looking nice and spiffy. Is amazing what some lighting could do to make your space look great. My studio space always looks great. So thank you to Control Entertainment. You guys can check them out on Instagram at Control_Entertainment for all your lighting needs. So once again, big up Javid and the crew. And up to yesterday, I got a delivery from a young lady, an entrepreneur who is, again, relaunching a brand called Hype Gear. So you guys see the hat right now that I have on, and of course the t-shirt I have on as well too. Let me just get a look at the t-shirt here, right? And that's from Hype Gear. So Hype Gear is a lifestyle clothing brand that was created to remind people from all walks of life that hype is a great contributing factor to achieving anything you want to achieve, right? So now they got some new designs that are launching this Friday. So I want you guys to make sure and follow hype_gear_ to see the new line of clothing that's launching very, very soon. And of course, you can pick up a piece of clothing for yourself, for anybody. The apparel brand called Hype Gear. Make sure and get yours today. So as you see, I got my hat, I got my t-shirt. I feel I might give away some to my guests. We'll see if we should treat them nice or whatever, because see the they're waiting, right? Finally, just to let you guys know that the audio from the Kreative Kollective Podcast is right now on Spotify and on Apple Podcast app and on the Digicel Go Loud application. So if you've missed any of the episodes of the podcast, make sure and get it right now on the move. You can probably listen to it on your phone, on your mobile device. The audio from it is there. And of course, all the episodes have been saved to this playlist on my YouTube channel. And as per usual, every single week when I come in, as I tell you guys, if you are enjoying the content of the Kreative Kollective Podcast, I invite you guys to please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Redymix DMT or follow me on Instagram at Shomari KRL and Facebook at Shomari KRL. Plus, follow the Kreative Kollective Podcast on Instagram for all the outtakes and all the information for this podcast that is needed. We are also joined today on the Explicit Entertainment Facebook page, the Millbeatz Entertainment Facebook page, and Groove Theory. So big up to all the DJs and all the producers that are locked in tonight. All the upcoming producers. I'm hoping that the information that we can give you guys tonight is something that's going to be useful and it's going to be able to help you throughout your entire career. So shout out to everybody there. All right. So now I can get into my guests for the night. I think one of them dropped off, but let's see. We had 3. All right. Good. Finally. Good. Great. Fellas, you guys hearing us? Well, everybody hearing us? You guys could unmute your mics now. Just let me make sure everybody is hearing you. Right?
Yeah.
Respect, man.
You guys should have seen what went on just then. A certain man went and put on a leather jacket before the live started. All that we normally hear, the man just went and put on a leather jacket. I don't understand it. I don't understand it, dog. I really don't understand it. Anyway, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you guys go. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it's all about the Producers Roundtable, and we have 3 of what I would call 3 of the hottest producers out of Trinidad and Tobago. We're going to get into a discussion with them. I was giving them a little talk beforehand because the team was eviscerating them today before we came live, and I'm going to talk about it because I promised one of the members of my team I would get into tonight. But first, let me get into the introductions, all right? So let me start with Explicit Entertainment. He is an award-winning producer and has worked with artists like Bunji Garlin, Nyla Blackman, Ola Tunji, just to name a few. He also produced the 8-Bit Rhythm, which featured All Houses wrote by Bunji Garlin, and he produced the mega 2021 soca hit Sugar Daddy for Nadia Batson. So that's Mevon Sudin, Explicit Entertainment. And again, Mevon and I have a roving joke because he always tell me I'm putting an R in his name. So I'm trying to forget to not put R because it's unfortunately it's a common thing, right? Right. So
move on.
Move on. Exactly. Right. So Static, hailed as a pioneer of Afro soca, he has worked with the who's who in entertainment and produced songs for Movado, Vibes Cartel, Marshall Montana, to name a few. In 2021, he was also responsible for such rhythms as the Candy Shop rhythm and was responsible for the 2019 Soca Monarch winning song Run With It by Mr. Killer, as we know it as Pick Up Something. So that's the man Kevin Charles, Mr. Static. Hey. And of course, Millbeatz Entertainment has been involved in production over a decade now, working with artists such as Problem Child, Marshall Montano, Lyrical, Patrice Roberts, Pretty, just to name a few. He was also responsible for some of the biggest dancehall hits from Trinidad and Tobago in the last few years, notably Father Moses Sample, and more recently, the Street Survivors rhythm featuring Prince Swani's Breadwinner. So that is David Million, aka Millbeatz on the inside as well too. So as well, let's see, we have our all-star team. There's our all-star team here right now. So I don't know who's Kobe, rest in peace. I don't know who's LeBron. I don't know. I don't know. But nevertheless, we have our all-star team, and I really guys, I want to thank you guys for your time tonight. As per usual, if you guys are joining us on Facebook or on YouTube, you can ask questions during the live just by going in the comment section, putting up your comments. We will actually get it here and see it live. And as I said, we try to get to as many questions as we can during the night. So if you guys have any questions, really and truly, we'd like to get to some of the questions tonight as well. All right. So I want to start off with probably what is the most obvious question. You guys have been toiling in the industry for quite a while now. And I think it's most important to try to figure out, like, what was your real motivations for getting into production, you know? So let me start with Explicit, Mevon. For you, what was your main motivation for getting into production?
Well, as far as I remember myself, I've always been a fan of music. Yeah. Music has been something I loved from a very young age. I never grew up in a musical family or anything like that, but since primary school, I was always beating desk and drum and singing every song and talking to people and just singing songs that rhyme mid-conversation. I would usually do those things. So like in my teenage years, everybody wanted to become a DJ. And it's funny because myself and DJ Adam 2MV, we started Explicit Entertainment as a song system.
Hold on a second. I was going to do something later on, but I think I could do it now. I think that you are owed royalties from Disney and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I really do think so. And I was telling Adam last night, the internet never fails. It never fails. And I want to show you why, right? Hold on.
Men, the point is, our group will be forward thinking. From now on, we'll be known as X-Force.
Yo, it's your boy DJ Adam and I am Explicit.
Yo, it's your boy Smokey and I am Explicit. It's your boy Jimbo and I am Explicit.
Yo, it's your boy Mavon and I am Explicit. Too much vibes.
Too much vibes. Too much vibes.
Too much vibes.
X-Force.
Isn't that a little derivative?
X-Force!
I think you need to check Marvel for some royalties.
Too much vibes.
And it's only hand movement, or is it too
much
too
vibes?
You know, since the Adam still doing that in some parties, like, you know, too
That's our thing.
That's a vibe. That's a vibe. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, so you guys started off Explicit
We started
Entertainment,
off, as you can see, we started off as a group, as a song system. Where the funny thing is, I was a DJ and Adam was my mic man.
Right.
I've always been a fan of music and dabbling in music, and then somebody gave me Fruity Loops 3. I remember this was like 2002, 2003. And I started building very basic beats. And like what I would do is I would download popular acapellas when I was DJing and put them on my lame beats. You could curse something in this live?
Yeah, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Beats now. Well, you know, so like I would take them and I would put them on my beats and I would carry it, burn it on a CD and carry it in school and let people hear it and be like, yo, as a producer and thing, and I make these tracks and I have an album and all these things, and I would carry it and let people gas me up. And I was real happy with that now. And I just fell in love with making beats and making music. And then before you know it, I started rapping. I think everybody here wanted to be a rapper or some kind of thing when they was growing up.
Some kind of thing, yeah.
I have an album. I have an album of rap songs, I swear to God. Right? And I used to rap on my beats, and then when I started doing that, other friends who wanted to be artists and things, those were unknown at the time.
Right.
And that's how I just started developing from playing music to making music to recording music, and here I am today.
Yeah, man. Good vibes. Too much vibes. too much vibes. Let me move to the brother who born in Trinidad and Tobago. Grew up in my second home of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, more specifically Union Island. And I went to Union Island for the first time in 2019 to do an event. And to anybody who's locked in from St. Vincent, big up the Vinci crew. And of course, Union Island, beautiful, beautiful island. Static, the same question to you. What was your main motivation to getting involved into production?
For me, it was an accidental necessity, if that makes sense.
Accidental necessity. All right.
Can I explain that one way?
You need to.
Which I will. So back in one of my past lives, when I used to be a dancer.
Right.
One of the main problems I had was I didn't have access to instrumentals. I didn't want to dance a lot of the songs because of the lyrical content, profanity, whatever, because, I would be dancing for, old, young, whoever. So I decided, it could be cool if I try to figure out how to actually make the instrumentals.
Right.
And then dance to that so I don't have to deal with the lyrics, because we didn't have access to instrumentals. Now we can just go on YouTube and, type in a popular song and get an instrumental, those kind of things. So after a while doing that, one of my friends, Icon from St. Vincent, Gary.
Yes, Icon,
yeah. Big supporter for life. He was like, yo, your things them bad or no? I'm like, what? And I mean, from there, I had one or two people start singing on it. I had Demas.
Right.
Did a song on it. That year it became, one of the most requested songs for the season. And it was like, yo. From there, everything started officially. Everything officially started.
Yeah. And for anybody from not from St. Vincent, Demas is actually an artist trader of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So
definitely,
big up Demas as well to big up the Vinci posse. David, first of all, I have to say this, and I tell it ever so often, but to everybody, I had to thank David, because in the beginning, when I started doing mixtapes, I used to do all my mixtapes by the Millbeatz studio. So David would always remember on a Saturday from 12 o'clock straight to 8, come across with the console, plug in, and his whole evening mixing down mixes by David. And he was one of the first guys that really gave me an opportunity to be able to do that in a studio where I didn't have a studio space. So even some of my earlier mixes have Millbeatz drops on it, because, he was real instrumental in that from the beginning. Going back from that, like, what was your motivation, David, for getting involved in production?
Well, with me, I always say it's destiny, right? Because I was always the type, if everybody know, I have a musical family,
Right.
My dad is a keyboardist and music teacher. My mom always around church when we were younger, and I watched all my dad brothers and them. I watching them playing drums, I watching them playing thing, and I just was more dressed back. I was more relaxed, you know.
Right.
I mean, after secondary school, actually, I was the type that kind of used to duck music and run from music, you know. So
Right.
I was more chasing the football now. And you know that period, that time when you finish secondary school, you know what you want to do in life and all that.
Yeah.
I just used to be the little virtual DJ, home, you know, playing around with the little virtual DJ, and all the DJs don't know what I'm talking about. It's called the novice stage now.
The novice stage, yeah.
Yeah, so I was playing around with the virtual DJ and stuff, and my mom used to watch that every day, and she ended up seeing a course in Lavantil School of Technology, right? Called Sound Engineering. It had no introduced, the government had introduced it. So she was like, it have a DJ course I feel like I could go and do, you know?
Right.
She checked me. I didn't even know, right? So I said, well, Lavantil, when I hear Lavantil, I say, well, all right, let me see what's this thing.
Right.
So I went Lavantil, and for me, that was the opening. I was real amazed. I didn't know it had a field called production. I didn't know it had anything. I didn't even know that was a job, you know?
Yeah.
And within journeying, within learning the live song and the song engineering, the lecturer watched my day. All of us had to build a little bit on Reason, you know, Reason 3.0. And, you know, he said, well, let's see what I have and stuff. And I just stay back even and I just created something. And he said, nah, you see you? Big up to Nicholas, the lecturer there. He said, you see you have something in here. I'll give you the CD for free. Go home and see what it is here, you know, what you can do with it. And from there, yes, used to, as my everyone said, the rap game, I used to listen to all my favorite rap instrumentals like T.I., all of them, and recreate and build over, because the program actually taught you how to do that now, to dissect a song and to listen to tones and the drums and the snares. And I used to start to build over from there. And I met up with my boy Rian, big up to Rian Labadee, Studio 12. He was living 2 sheets long from by me. He had the equipment and stuff, and from there I journeyed with him for like 4 years, recording men in a little cupboard, you know. Put the towel rack up, and you know, it creates a little song proof, and I get a lot of experience from there. And I must say, the man who pushed me the most is a big up to Shotmaster J, because Shotmaster J, he's a man, he saw the talent. Yeah. And he pulled me in on a project with GW and Blaze Palance for the road mix. And from there on, that's where my motivation came on. I said, nah, well, there's something I really feel I can spend my life doing, you know?
Yeah. I want to say shout out to Columbia and the Voice in Toronto listening to us, as well as Kit Israel has joined us as well. DJ Silence, I saw your question, so I'm going to make sure and get to your question soon. And Red Sec Cram, I just saw your comment as well. I'm going to get to that. Staying with that same comment you made about your parents seeing that talent in you and giving you that motivation. Would you say that was like one of the main key factors that really probably gave you that initial motivation or that initial encouragement to want to do this?
Definitely. I must say a big up to my mom, my queen. She has been there and is still there. At the moments, at the lowest times, the highest times, she just there pushing and always saying, you know, stay humble. Like the main thing, she's always pushing us, you know. Don't let the bright lights shine on you too much. Stay humble. So she always give me that motivation and push to just continue pushing through that. That support factor really important. You know?
One thing I will say is that your family, I am totally amazed by the support that your family shows each other and how multi-talented everybody is. And as I told you from before, at some point in time on the podcast, I really want to have you and your sisters, because I think that you guys as a unit are really powerful together. Static, I heard you say before that when you used to listen to the instrumentals, a lot of it was profanity music, right? So I'm wondering if at that point in time, was it that you couldn't really grow on your family with the kind of tunes that you was listening to, or is it that that was just your own personal preference and you always had the support of family in doing what you wanted to do?
Well.
Where see that is? It's a story. A story is coming.
Well, you know, if I'm being honest, so I grew up in Union Island with my grandparents.
Right.
My grandmother and my grandfather.
Right.
The thing is, the production and the whole music, wanting to do music, you know, professionally and those things, It was, I would have to say, it was very much misunderstood. It was
Right.
not supported, and
Right.
I understand why, because at the time, this, I was going against the mole. I'm talking about, I'm literally the first person to have a recording studio on the island. Like, this is not something that,
Facts.
we do. This is not, what I mean? We don't have producers. We don't do,
No, they
you know
don't.
what I mean? So
No, they don't.
it was new. So I think she was, my grandmother was more in protection mode as to, like, why are you wasting your money, you understand, doing this? Like, how is this going to help you, At the time as well, I think I was just finishing college, and I started teaching at secondary school pretty early, like 18.
Right.
So because of that, of course, I now have a responsibility to the public and to, my students and all that. So I definitely did not want to go out there and,
Yeah.
support certain things.
Yeah. And for anybody that doesn't know, how big is Union Island? Or I should say, how small is Union Island? It doesn't take away from the fantastic island that is Union Island. But
the beautiful paradise of Union
the
Island.
beautiful paradise of Union Island.
It's 13 square miles.
Yeah.
So
13.
So you can literally run around the island in like an hour and a half.
Yeah. No, and he's not lying for that. Because I remember landing in the airport, and the airport is like really small. And like when the plane is turning to land in Union, the pilot actually has to take off the propeller. So I sit down the plane next to Selector Kerry, like, dog, we going there. And Kerry sit down, so he's had this thing where you sit down, so you just watch your recording, and like, dog, go down here. No, but it was actually totally safe. And I mean, you're right. Mev, were you one to have the support of individuals in the beginning from your family? And the reason why I asked the three of you all this question just before you go through is because we have a lot of young people that look at the podcast. And I think that one of the things I try to stress to them is that even if it is that your parents at the point in time may not support your dream, at the same point in time, you have to find ingenuitive ways to show them that this is what you really want to do. I think parents test young people in the beginning because we always, as a young person, different things coming at you, and you want to be able to show them that this is not just your passion, but it's something that you want to make into a career. So yeah, Mev, I don't know if you had the same experience as Static or otherwise.
Nah, my experience was like more like David.
Right.
I'm an only child. So I live with my mom.
Oh, yeah, spoiled.
Well, people say that, but
Right.
she was always supportive of me.
Right.
Me being an only child, my house was the Lyman house.
Right.
And then at the time, I'll go back to Adam. Adam used to live directly next door to me.
Yeah.
Literally the house next door. So he was always in my house. So my room, my studio, which is now, was the Lyman room. The
Lyman room.
Noise, the speakers and the DJ setup and computer and mic, and this was the room all my pals used to come and play music in.
Yeah.
So this actually was my bedroom growing up.
Right.
Like this room right now.
Right.
And I moved out of here to go and sleep in the guest room. So the guest room is now my room, and my old bedroom is now currently the studio. Right, when I did that, my mother supported it. I did renovations to the house. I break down the wall and put a door so nobody could come through the house anymore. But as I said, like I didn't start doing this until like 3 years ago professionally, meaning full time.
Right.
I was doing this because I had a job.
Right.
I used to work the Ministry of Education for 11 years.
Wow.
Right. So I was doing this part time. I was doing a lot of hip hop music with Mark Cartier and Young Rod and Jimmy October and all of those people. That's where I started.
And that's where you won. That's where you won the Cut Award for the best collaboration in 2015 for Isaac Trini, right? Yeah.
So that is where I started. You know, so all that time I was still working. I was still working in the ministry.
Right.
And then when so I had the studios bit by bit. I was building the studio, and my parents, my mom was fully supportive. When I decided to leave my job to do this full time, she was very much concerned because I had a good job. You know, I had a decent, secure job, and I was leaving to do this full time. So I'm literally taking a leap of faith to leave a secure salary to do this full time. And then this was 2018,
Right.
right? And the first year in was good, and then COVID. So like, it was up and down. It was
Right.
up and down, but my parents were highly supportive. I can't say that they wasn't.
As I just said that, I was speaking to Rome earlier on in the podcast. This is like the second episode of the podcast. And he was explaining that he was working Petro-Trin at the point in time.
We both left our job the same time.
Right. He had quick slice pizza. He had all these kind of things, whatever. So I'll ask you, at this point in time of COVID-19, did it ever occur to you, or was there ever a thought like, I probably should go back and work in the ministry now? Or did you just think that this was just something for you to stay the course and go through it?
Well, as you can see from my catalog this year, it definitely didn't cross my mind to go back.
Right.
I put my head down and started running. I said to myself, if this means I need to work 10 times harder to make a living for myself, then so be it. And that's what I did.
Right.
The lockdown and what COVID did for me is that it took away all the distractions.
Right.
Because I was I don't know if everybody else said it's a Lyman thing, but I'm a real socialite now. I used to real lime and go everywhere with Adam. Even you yourself, Shomari, so I always out liming and with people. So when lockdown happened, as I said, it forced me to focus on what really matters now, which was my career and music. So I would say it was a blessing in disguise. COVID financially, it took a blow to the wallet,
right?
But what it did was boost my career and my name and my brand. So I am thankful for that.
I get that. To either David or let me start with Static actually. He mentioned that during this point in time he was motivated to push himself more to do more, right? But I am quite certain, as with a lot of creatives out there, during this point in time of being in a pandemic, there were multiple times where you can't really find that motivation to be able to do what it is that you want to do. Because, and I shout out Christian Chacha for this, as a creative, sometimes the motivation comes to you at the oddest of times. But we're in a pandemic and nobody has any idea when things are going to reopen, how it's going to impact the industry. Would you say that the pandemic really negatively affected you, or were you able to still push through it and get through with the amount of things that you wanted to do for 2020 into this year?
Both is true.
Right.
The thing is, I was affected by the pandemic, but it was more of just being around in that period. So it wasn't necessarily the pandemic itself,
Right.
There was some, there were other factors at play, some stuff that happened during the pandemic, and it was just kind of the worst time for that to happen, right? But the thing is, like Mavon, the pandemic really pushed me personally to another level, and I'm very, very, very grateful for that. So during that time, what I was able to do was just sit down, zone in, and try to figure out, okay, cool, how do I get to this new level?
Right.
And for me, that would more or less be just expanding globally, and touching all different corners around the globe, and just figuring out, okay, I want to work with this Afrobeats artist, I want to work with this pop artist, I want to work with this R&B artist, and for the year I was actually able to do that. We got featured on like Flavor's album, we did stuff with Niniola, we have stuff with
you name it, right?
I can't say that, yeah. But yeah,
mind you, ladies and gentlemen, I have challenged all three of these individuals before we come off this live tonight. They had to give you something that nobody here before. They had to give you at least a little piece of something, a piece of something. So some rhythm, some song, something that in the pipeline, something. But anyway, continue, Kevin.
Very possible, yeah. But the thing is about pushing yourself to a new level is that you need to understand is once you get there, you need to hustle like you hustle when you just started.
Right.
Right. So your mentality had to switch back to hustle mode. So like just this morning I literally got up at 6 o'clock. 5 minutes later I was into a full recording production session with people in the UK. Right. This for me now is like a daily thing. Right? It has to happen. You do that. By the time you finish that, 4 hours later, you say, okay, cool, I have this song to mix. I have that song to finish. And it's the whole day. I do this. I literally do this. I wake up. I do this all day. I go to sleep. I wake up, repeat.
Right.
And that's it right there.
Right. David, do you think you've had the same experience? I know for a fact, actually, without going into too much detail about it personally, but I know you have yourself had some little life changes that you made on your own. You know, you and I spoke about that on the phone a couple of weeks ago. But how has this challenge? How have you been able to take on this challenge?
Well, boy, for me, the pandemic was something that taught me a lot. And then outside of the production field, it was more, as you said, we had the conversation live now. So I really and truly, I believe everybody, the clock stopped on everybody, you know? Yeah. And it forced us into a reflection kind of state. Because as a producer, we are accustomed going. I don't know, I'm everyone answer, they could, you know, hours in the night, we wake up straight into session and we just going. And our personal lives tend to be at the back seat now. So during the pandemic, I didn't even get shagged down by the pandemic. I got shagged down by some personal family, you know, family problems and stuff. You know, my dad wasn't too well and all those things. Everything just started crashing straight down.
Wow.
Till it affected my health and all, in the sense of I was taking on things so much that, you know, I started to get acid reflux and different little stuff. But you know, it taught my appreciation that we had to sit back sometimes and realize, you know, the people that closest to us, we need to pay attention to them at the same time too, you know. I also learn a lot, like now, as a man take my time and do my little meditation, you know. It was more personal growth time for me. And within achieving that personal growth and going into that meditation and that reflection, of course, new ideas was inspired, and, you know, the motivation started to grow back, and, you know, spirituality started to grow. Everything that started to line back up straight into 2021, where it become a bigger and a better Millbeatz David Milliard, that we're ready to face new challenges. And, you know, everybody for the pandemic has shown become a bigger and a better and a stronger person, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, I like about the three answers we just got. You guys have had 3 different paths in the last 12 months. Look at that. We actually in a year now since this thing going on, right? And like, there are some people, as Mevon would say, want to pump hard. It's our people like David who decide to take time for himself and meditate, you understand, and build back himself in a particular way. Static, drain himself in the studio and make sure that he's there every single day.
Well, I mean, realistically, this is my normal, you know,
life.
Right. So come like
existence too. So pre-COVID existence. Sorry.
Right. So this is your pre-COVID existence in the we can't even say post-COVID, but the during COVID, right?
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is that, again, you have to find something to hold on to get through the challenging times that will make you see past what the challenging times are. And I think all 3 of you all, in some particular way or form, have done that. I mean, we get Sugar Daddy for the air. I mean, yes, we get them tunes for the air. So, but the point is that at the end of the day, you know, you have to hold on to something, some core belief, some core value. And David said himself, a lot of times when we drain ourselves into everything and we don't see what is important, we have to actually look at life on a particular level of gratitude. And I'm really, really glad that at the end of the day, despite the challenges that have happened over the last year, you guys have been able to come out it much better than, you know, than before. So salute to that. I want to get to a question that I saw quickly in the chat, and then I have a question I want to ask you guys. It's from DJ Silence, who says, do you guys plan on doing internships in the future to help aspiring producers learn the craft? David, you go first.
Well, actually, I had like 2 years. I partnered with UE and did, you know, an internship individual course, which was like about 3 to 4 months.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
I had like students. I was studying music, not production, but music in UE they came across and they was introduced to it. So yes, that is something that I plan to do in the future. But again, sometimes we wear in all the caps, so you just need to facilitate that time to invest in that.
Yeah, but I know for a fact, and this is something that you told me a couple of years ago. I don't know if you still do this now, but you always said that even during whatever's happening, you always want to find one young artist to mold into music. Is that something that you still actively do now?
Yeah, definitely. Well, that is one of the dreams. Was always one of the goals, the future goals, and I must say, I'm proud to say that right now things happening a little nice. Since the COVID, since last year, 2020, we have Lexi signed to us.
Right.
I launched my record label, Millbeatz Music Records. So
right.
we have Lexi, and then I just wanted to make sure, we experiment properly before, you get wild and you say, take it this one and this one. Things work out really nice. As I saw, we built him from scratch, and he was into the Soca Monarch semi-finals and all those things.
Right.
And now I actually signed a new artist called Trinidad Mo on the Trinidad side.
Right.
So you can look out for her, and that's really our focus right now.
Yeah, and I have a question to ask about the Trinidad movement in a bit, but I want everyone to comment on that in terms of, would you have a young explicit entertainment that you're willing to mold into being, the future producer?
So like in terms of actual bring them in and have like a session where it is I'm molding somebody. It's something I plan to do eventually. I don't think I'm at the stage where I am ready to do that just yet, and because I am still kind of now planting my 2 feet on the ground,
right,
full time now.
Right.
But I have kind of been doing that. So I actually did a music production course some years ago in Star Broadcasting with Arion, and since then, I was one of his best students. And since then, he always uses me as a reference for his classes.
Right.
So he has brought multiple classes to the studio, and I did the sit down and the chat and go through the sessions with them, and kind of informal, very very much like this. He would bring 4 or 5 students, and he would come and we just go through a session with them and show them the ropes basically. So as I've done it before. But to say I have this one person under my wing, I haven't done it before, but I feel like it's something I don't mind doing at all. It's in my personality to help and to just be supportive of the younger talents.
Yeah. Static. What about you?
Yeah. Yes, I feel like it's actually very important for us as as creatives, as individuals, and as role models to actually help mold that younger generation, that new generation. So that's definitely something that I would want to do. Currently, I do open myself to help, to helping a lot of young producers. So I would tell anybody, if they have any issue, they could always hit me up, whether it's DM or WhatsApp or whatever. They could send me the stuff I listen, and I would give you, critical listening and critical advice. Okay, you can do this, whatever. It doesn't take anything away from me to try to help somebody to get to a new level. So that helps. Respect to the production itself, that I would say, I don't think it is possible for somebody to teach somebody else how to produce.
Right.
You understand? Right. Unless you're trying to make a watered down copy of yourself. And I think production, music, and creativity in itself, the idea of uniqueness is so important that that's not something that should happen. The technical stuff, definitely. But you should not teach somebody how to create, because, how people are...
It's such a person.
Exactly. How people learn, you understand? Sometimes they get stuck in it, and that was it. Because I remember... when I used to teach and produce, Wetty was like my little brother. Wetty was my student. He was my basketball star. He was my lead dancer. Wetty was my little brother. You understand? Right. And I remember him coming to me and saying, "Oh, and I really want to do music." And I'm like, "Okay, so go do it. These are the programs. This is what you need to do, whatever." So, well, teach me. I'm like, "No, I'm not going to teach you, because I need you to develop your own style." And by the time I finished my undergrad, and I wasn't doing music that time, and I came back home, Wetty had the bigger song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I was so proud. Of course, I'm not gonna take any credit for that, but I'm saying like he figured out how to find his way, and from that we just started working together. And like the next year we won Road March and Soca Monarch with Skinny Fabulous together, and we came straight down.
Yeah. To everybody that's tuning in as well, I want to kind of split tonight's conversation into two groups of say it like that. The technical side. So I seen we have some questions about people asking about programs you guys use, etc., etc. We'll get to that for sure. And also the personality side, which I think is equally and sometimes even more important than the technical side, because these are something Mevon just said a little while ago, that is a personal thing when it comes down to this. And at the end of the day, even though you do something from a technical level, there's a mentality and a motivation that goes into that, and that is something that we really want to explore as well too. But I'll make sure and get to the technical questions as well. So I want to ask you that question right now. What do you think is the biggest misconception when it comes down to the producer? Anybody first?
That we have money.
Well, hold on. As I just said, look, a guy just saying, "How do you all get paid?" I know, say in the chat. But really, well, Static, you jump first. So what is the biggest?
Listen.
But how? But listen. Hold on. So let me be devil's advocate and the unknowing person to the entire situation. Let me be the guy that is, boy, you broke dog, like you are Soca Monarch with Killer, and you produced that tune for Cohen and Marshall and things.
And I gotta talk the things, right?
How you broke? Like so and I asked that question too because again, taking this as a profession means that yes, you have to take the good and the bad. And just for everybody here, all the equipment that you're seeing those guys have there, that's not something that come yesterday. It's hard work that gets to that. Sacrifice and determination. But at the same point in time, there is a thought process out there that all is millionaires, which is why I said that in the introduction. So, so you go ahead and explain.
1 million, yeah. And I
God, dog, don't let me bring back up the expenses. God. Anyway, yeah.
But even going back to the pandemic, and there's something I wanted to mention before. As a music producer, as a full-time music producer, if it's one, and even as a creator, if it's one thing you should have learned during the pandemic, is how to handle your business efficiently as a business.
Well said.
Because if you did not, or if you don't, you understand, you'll be in the streets. This year, you would have been on the streets. Big man. You know what I mean? Because our how we get paid, it's so limited that if you don't do it correctly, it is not going to work.
Right.
Like, it is not going to work, and you would not be able to do this. You would not be able to do this full time. As producers, I'm sure, yes, we did a lot of songs this season, and they were playing a lot on the radio, but Mills, I know you didn't get paid for no song. Mevon, I know you did not get paid for no song.
But, I mean, and I go and be devil's advocate again. Wham to the cut check that you're supposed to get from the copyright organization and things.
Okay, all right. You know what? Let me talk the things. So,
that's what we want. That's what we want. Talk the things. 2019.
In 2019, when I, had my biggest song to date, Mr. Killer, I Run With It.
Right.
I must say, I was feeling very good about myself, you know what I mean? I was just counting on the days so I can get my cut check and be like, yeah, boy, cool. I could probably take a trip, go a little vacation. I feel like I deserve that. And I got it, and yeah. I've never been more shocked in my life, I must say. I've never been more shocked in my entire life.
Right.
Than that moment when I saw. And Mills, when you can attest to this, because we talk about these things all the time. It was shocking. It was shocking. So, what it did, it exposed, a fundamental problem in our collection agencies. Because if that's the case, then I couldn't imagine people who didn't have a great year.
Right.
They're getting what,
Nothing.
like $20.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's and it becomes difficult because again, like everybody thinks, you know, especially the artists, things that, you know, oh, you're making all this money. So, you know, when you're trying to make deals and say, okay, you're gonna use I want to charge this for the production, that for the production. Nobody wants to pay you your value because everybody feels that, oh, you gosh, you know, you have all this money, you have all this equipment, you understand, go easy on me. But the thing what people need to understand is this: if I do a song for artists now and I charge you X, right? Minus COVID, pre-COVID, right? You need to understand that artists is capable of making that money in one performance, one night. And we're talking about Carnival having at least, you could do 10 shows in one night.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. It's negligible.
Yeah. But Mev, I want to bounce this to you. So you ain't making no money from you ain't making no big set of money, right? What then, for any aspiring producer, is the real, I don't want to say motivation, because I think motivation is kind of cheapening it, but what then could you say is the career path when it comes down to getting into production? Where is it that, from the dollars and cents point of view, the amount of money you invest in equipment and mics and studio space and Ableton and et cetera, wherever DAW using or whatever, where do you think that money of itself as an investment is supposed to come back for anybody that wants to get into the industry?
Well, a little bit of music business. Obviously, the two main sources of income when it comes to music is publishing and master ownership, right? Royalties.
Right.
Obviously, there's things like sing deals and ads and all these different things, competitions. All of these different things can make money from a song. But from a producer, the main two things are publishing, which is copyright. When Cut's supposed to pay for the songs being played or performed, you're supposed to get paid. And then there's owning your masters. If you own your masters, you therefore have a stake in the sales and digital streams.
Right.
That's the two ways in which it's supposed to work. Right. So what I could tell it to do is try to get dual membership and don't depend on Cut alone. Because if it is you are to depend on Cut alone, obviously they have a lot of administrative issues inside of Cut that needs to be addressed because they clearly don't pay correctly, right? And Static had his biggest song and he was shocked when he get the money. You know? Yeah, no, it's true.
Right,
no, we have a group and I share with them my statements. I wouldn't talk that no, but I showing them that, yo, like, if all they think all they had it bad, imagine me. You know, so I now had my biggest hit in Carnival, which is Sugar Daddy and All Houses Road. So I waiting to, like Kevin, I waiting to see what's going to happen. I'm able to make a trip out. I'm able to make a trip to something I know.
You might have to.
But seriously, I feel like as a producer, what you need to do is really either find people who paying for songs, in which that's not happening. I can't tell you last time an artist paid me for a song, right? Wow. So meaning a lot of artists now, like they jump on rhythms, they're asking for rhythms because when you jump on a rhythm, you don't need to spend any money.
Right.
You know, you basically get a free song. The producer is now the executive producer, and he would now fit all the expenses, marketing, mixing, production, recording, build the beat, everything with regards to the song. And the artists now are asking for some exorbitant percentages, which is kind of unfair given the circumstances that you invested nothing into the project, right? So this is just another situation. So your master money is already being targeted now, and then you have the mismanagement from the copyright organization in terms of payments. So really and truly, you're stuck in between a rock and a hard place because, as I said, artists not paying. I don't know if David and Kevin could talk, but like, when last an artist come to you and say, I want to pay you to do a song, you know, it's far and wide now. A lot of them, the quicker come to you and be like, you have any rhythms? I want to jump on a rhythm now. Like that's kind of the trend now.
Right.
So I would tell anybody to, you really have to do this for the love of it. Do what Static is doing and do what Millbeatz is doing and really try to expand your network and your diaspora in terms of your music. Like he's doing stuff with Flavor and all these Afrobeat artists, and David is doing the dancehall thing. I mean, thank God I just do parang and thing too now, boy. You know, so I just still kind of make a little money with Rome.
Right.
You know, so
True.
like you can't depend on one genre of music or carnival music alone, because if you were to really count on that, you would be in a situation like we currently in now.
Yeah. As you're saying that, I just want to shout out on Captain John Rickards joining us, the producer, the promoter, who is joining us tonight as well. So big up to Captain John. David, I know you spent some time, I think it was like 2016 or somewhere around there, out of the country in Toronto, kind of filling out the music scene and, you know, kind of getting a vibe of the business on the outside. How drastically different is the experience on the outside to what is happening here in Trinidad and Tobago? And if you could give one tip on how it could be improved, what would that be?
All right. Well, that was I was going to touch on the same topic with these guys in terms of the payment and, you know, the millionaire perception.
Yeah.
One of the main things...
So even though you're given million, you no millions.
Nah, I want to change that.
Yeah, millions. Right.
It's a E. Yeah, I want to change it to the O one day, you know, million.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, with one of the main things I discovered, and what I think we all discovered recently with where cut is concerned, it starts from a systematic point, you know, in terms of their admin fees.
Right.
The admin fees, what we 45 to 47%. So no other PRO in the world, right? Insane. No other PRO in the world admin fee is that high. So from the time it come like we receiving our statement, we getting probably half of what we deserve, you know?
Right.
And then they're cutting up to the artist and the writer and everybody that's involved.
Yeah.
So your 50% now is 10% or 20%.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, they're making more money off our music than we are.
And you guys are making that is amazing.
That is insanity. That's what that is.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So definitely there's just one side that I was highlighted really, really and truly that came to my awareness when I went out there. Right. You know, the time I spent out there, I was fortunate to meet a lot of producers. You know, I went in a lot of studios, Atlantic Records and all those things. So I would advise like all producers, a main thing to do before you even press that keyboard is start to learn the business. Because that's one thing that I missed out on a lot for a lot of years. So, you know, the perception was there, hey, you working with this one and you working with that one. And, I mean, all that's well and good for the branding point of view and the marketing side of things. You know, the brand actually will get value. But at the same time, dollars and cents wasn't adding up. And that was nobody's fault but my fault because I didn't really understand the business properly, you know. So what outlet taught me a lot was to really, stop and pay attention to the way in terms of how you're doing your business, your PROs, you know, the way how your masters, your splits and masters, because while I was out, I found out something too. You know, I sat down with one of the distributors and they showed me that a lot of my stuff was on Apple Music and stuff, and I never even know that.
So that music that was on Apple Music,
yeah,
you weren't monetizing from that at the point in time.
And from what I was told, like from lawyers out there, that I was entitled to. That's when I got the awareness that I was entitled to actually own the master because the artist didn't pay me for any type of production or any stuff. So when I found out that, it was a bit heartbreaking at the point because it was a known artist. It was a few known artists. I wouldn't highlight them in this forum here. You know?
You can safely talk things inside here. I just say it.
But hey, that one thing is good up on YouTube after.
on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course Digital Download. But continue, David. Continue, brother.
So with that being said, I would keep that artist or artists. You know, I would keep that information private. But the main point was that they were having those stuff on albums, and I didn't have any royalties or anything to get from that. So that made me pay attention now to how I do business, and you know, always negotiate from upfront, talk the things from upfront. You know, settle at least if it's a verbal conversation. you understand the percentages, how they're going to split and all those things now. So, I mean, all those things were factors I learned and eventually started to get ownership of my masters and started to see the money and them different things, you know?
I think that could kind of fall in line with the question here. I see from DJ Sly, big up Sly, who wants to the intellectual property of the music. Do you own the music that you produce? So I'm guessing that when you produce a track, it's kind of shared ownership between you and the artist. That's correct, right?
Yeah, but well, as Melvin was saying before, there are two rights associated with that. So when you say IP or intellectual property, you're more or less referring to the composition rights, which would be publishing rights, the writer, the melody, and the composition of the music itself. Right. And then, of course, there's the mechanical rights, as in, which refers to the master. Who owns the song?
Yeah.
Right.
Who owns the revenue that is generated from the sales of the songs on digital platforms? And I would say this for producers looking to get in the game, the most important asset you can have is an education of what should and should not happen business-wise, right? Yeah. Because even as simple things, because I assume that most of us producers now, we make the bulk of our money based on the distribution of our catalog. So we have masters that we own if we do a rhythm. We, of course, own it because essentially it's us pushing out an album. We sell those and the revenue comes back in. The artist most likely will have a royalty share percentage of that revenue.
But they're not the owner.
Right?
They're not the owner.
But simple things like who you're distributing with. When a distributor comes to you and says, hey, this is the deal, I want to take 20%, you then need to go and figure out, is this distributor a middleman or not? Because if they're middleman, it means that there's somebody before that's taking another 20% that nobody's telling you anything about. So you're losing 40%, you understand, of your income off the bat, and you're not even aware, right?
Right.
And of course, there are different things, tax and whatnot, some percentage of your money could just be given away to the IRS and those kind of things.
Wow.
You're left with nothing, right?
Yeah.
And again, you're there thinking it's the norm. These things are not the norm. You have to be educated.
No, and you're right, because even in the US right now, there is a huge case happening with, I believe it's Anita Baker, who has been encouraging people not to purchase her music.
Exactly.
Because right now she doesn't have the rights to her masters. And she wants to get back the rights to her masters. But until she can do that, whatever music that is being produced is actually going to the distributor, I believe. It's not even going to the artist.
What, the label, yeah.
The label, correct. The label. So again, and the reason why it's important we discuss this, even though it might be in a production context, but for any creative, I think sometimes in the Caribbean, we have a tendency of approaching creative industries from a brethren standpoint. So, yeah, boy, well, I go just do the thing because, everybody in it now. And why you want to do that, boy? Well, boy, I realize everybody in the production thing, so I just want to get in the production thing. Or in my case, boy, well, the thing, I just like the music thing. I like the music thing and I want to get in it. But at the same point in time, you have to have a holistic understanding of anything that you dedicate your time to at this point in time, whether it be DJing, football, a gal, whatever it might be. The bottom line is you have to have a holistic understanding of it, because you will be stepping into something and not sure of not just the positives, but the negatives that go with that. Because as you three guys have just pointed out, even with all the success that you guys have, the biggest misconception is all of us millionaires and nobody here is a millionaire. So
Tens, yeah.
Well, if you want to say that, but the point is that at the end of the day,
I think that perception come from producers when the model producers from the States.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Timbaland and Swiss Beats and
DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled, yeah.
When you watch the model of their business to our model here, you will understand why we still have to grow, in a lot of different stuff. Like, for example, the admin fees and aesthetics of the distribution, how much they're taking percentage-wise and all those different things,
Yeah. I get that. I seen Adam and a couple people asking for you to call the name of the artist, and we wouldn't tell anybody. I mean, if you're willing to call the name of the artist, I can edit it out in the final copy. I mean, if the artist looking tonight, well, I can't help you, but if you're willing to call the name of the artist, we could always edit it out in post-production. I mean, you can give me a hint, just a hint.
that is not that's beside it. The point is we have
Where's
to
my politician?
about our business.
All right. I respect that. I respect
Good
that.
save.
I respect that. So to everybody that asking, as a listen, we all right. I respect that.
We let up nice. You want your business see.
All right. I wanna get to another question quickly, and yeah, that is, what distributing service is the best? Anybody? Quick takers. Anybody?
There's no best. It really depends on what works for you.
Right.
Because they all
It really
Started
depends
getting-
on where you get the best deal.
well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like it really depends on the what works for you, what deal.
Yeah, we get deal free.
Yeah,
Everybody
I
get different deals, you know, like
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So it really depends on how you negotiate, and it really depends on if you're using one of those online distributors, whether it be TuneCore or CD Baby, DistroKid, 1RPM, anything like that. It really depends on the percentages, and as I said, what are you looking for in a distributor? So like for me, one of the things I was looking for was that split payments, because in a age where everybody has a percentage in the royalties, I didn't want nobody calling on my phone for no money. You know, so I wanted something where I could automatically do my split payments one time, and that was a big factor for me because I didn't want to pay nobody. Right? It's me alone. I have no accountant. I'm not dealing with none of that. So if you do a song with me, I tell you, whatever you get a payment and you go away, don't come and call me. Right? That's how I want to deal with things. Right? So then there's the percentage, as Static was saying. Some might be a middleman. So like there's Fox Fuse and they who take in a percentage, and they themselves have to pay a percentage to In Grooves or whoever, Empire, whatever that they're using, and that 20% becomes 40%, and you don't even know that.
Yeah.
You know, so like every distributor takes a percentage from the royalties generated, you know. So you have to really weigh the pros and cons and see what it is you're looking for, what services are you looking for, and find the balance of how much you could give and what services they're offering to you. That's my best advice. There's no cookie cutter answer to say this is the best one or that is the best one. It really depends.
Well, I see Static and David kind of agree with you, so I guess we all in agreement on that.
Yeah, but you know, to add to that, what I think creatives need to understand, and I think this has gotten lost somewhere along the line. If somebody is selling your music, they are working for you and not the other way around.
Right.
And they tend to make us feel like that, and then we get into some ridiculous situations that we need to understand that is not how it's supposed to be. I have a product, I'm giving you the product to sell.
Right.
That is it. You are working
For me.
So whatever you need to get out of that arrangement, you need to push for that.
Yeah. Get it. I want to move on. I want to move on quickly. But David, if you want to say something quick.
Nah, saying well said to Static. Well said.
Right, great. As I said, we have a couple of producers joining us tonight. So big up DJ Quest from Antigua, who is joining us as well, and all the other producers that are on the inside with us tonight joining us. The Ninja Productions, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. I had a question that came within my team today, and I thought it was very, very interesting when it was presented. Do you think, or what do you think, who do you think is probably more important, the writer or the producer?
There's nobody's more important than anybody else, to be honest.
It goes hand in hand. Because they wouldn't put out an acapella on the radio and they wouldn't put out an instrumental on the radio.
Obviously, actually, they have put out instrumentals.
They do
instrumentals that are huge.
Yeah.
You know? So, but I don't think anybody is more important than anybody.
Yeah.
But in that same regard, this is the other side I want to ask, and this is in line with the ethics. We know, all of us, including everybody joining us tonight, that there'll be multiple times you hear a song come out from whoever the artist might be. And we would sit down and hear the song, and the song would just sound bad, whether it's whatever, the composition, whether the music, the arrangement, yada, yada, yada. And the first thing anybody will say, boy, that producer wicked, boy. Yes, that producer real wicked. Like, you in here, that song, and yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. So, for any young artist, what do you think for them should they look for with a good producer as opposed to a negative producer, a bad producer? What do you think is the real difference for that? And in that case, in those cases where a song sounds like that, is it the producer fault or the artist's fault?
I mean, it obviously depends on the song.
Depends.
What I would say is, if you're an artist and you're looking to find a producer to work with, find somebody who's going to tell you, yo, your song is trash.
Honest.
Because if you can find somebody who's willing to tell you that your song is trash and forego any possible benefit of working with you, that's who you need to be working with. You need people to push it to the new level. You need people to literally reach inside and bring out the best of you. And if you don't want to hear it, then there's no business. Yeah. There can be no lies or no sugarcoating when it comes to music. We are making art. Art doesn't lie.
Yeah. But in the same regard, I'll ask this to everyone, has there ever been, because as Stalik was just saying, you need to be honest with your client. So let me call the client, right? Has there ever been a time where you work with any major artist, like a big artist? You don't have to call a name. Hold on. We ain't calling names on the live, right? It's just about the information. But have you ever worked with a really big artist and at the end of the day, you sent the instrumental or whatever, whatnot, the artist sends back the song, the recording or whatever, the demo, and you were like, nah, not cutting it at all? Because I ask that question because sometimes it can be challenging if you're working with an upper echelon artist to kind of tell an upper echelon artist, yo, your song already not cutting it. I mean, how do you work that dynamic?
Well, I personally didn't do it to the artists because like in the production of a song, most times there are not many artists who write the songs themselves. Right. There's a few of them. There's like Nadia and Bungie and a few artists who write for themselves. But a lot of artists don't write for themselves. And we as producers, we link with writers. Right. And the writers would now be that middleman. So there'll be producer, writer, and artist. Right. We would work with the writers and they would do demos, send us back demos. And then when we satisfied, we would then send it to the artist and be like, yo, I have an idea for you. At least that's how it is for me. I don't know if it's different for David and Kev, but that's how it is for us, for me, right? So I have never told an artist directly, yo, I don't like your contribution, because in my little experience in the game, it's more been me liaising with writers. I've told writers, yo, that song is shit, and I don't like it, and maybe we could fix this, fix that, and we've worked on songs before, and I've had writing sessions with writers. We sit down in the studio whole night and we tweak until we finally get right. And then we pitch it to artists. Right. I've had an instance where I've done a song with a big artist and he did a song on it, but the song, it was kind of time sensitive to what was going on. Right. And we told them we didn't really want that kind of song on it. Right. And he changed the song. Okay. So like it wasn't a song idea where I tell them that song is trash. We was just like the time frame that we want to release the song doesn't suit what you're singing about now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it was an easy let off.
Yeah. David, you can chime in on that and I have a follow-up question to ask you, but go ahead.
Yeah. My experiences, I would say, was
you say you didn't get a rupture there?
Was,
no good stories. Ladies and gentlemen, anytime a guy starts to talk with a rupture, it means he have a story. But anyway, continue.
We could put it as I try to be as honest as I can be without being offensive. Yeah. So like with me, everybody know I'm a kind of perfectionist. So I have had instances where, yes, I have told artists directly, yo, I do like that song. I find X, Y, and Z not matching up, right? But half time certain artists storm out of here, vex, you know? They storm out vex. Boy, Mel, we feel you as boy. Say, boy, thing next you know I hear my name saying I cocky and all kind of different things.
Wow.
But you know what's the good part about it? What I realize is at the end of the day, like you see when you talk the truth will always be the truth. So like they will hear it from somebody else. And when they hear it from somebody else, they will always come back to you and say, Mill, you know, you was right.
He was right.
Yeah.
You know, so it had instances where a few artists, like I literally had to tell I wasn't feeling the song, you know, writers as well too. I wasn't feeling the song and all those things. But one thing I learned in doing that is just don't leave them with it and just say that. You have to have your explanation properly from your point of view. And I always say that's my point of view, you know. Yeah. And I will want to bring out the best out of what I could do. So that is my savior. That is how I save myself. So it's either you agree with it or you don't agree with it. And I go and say that is just standard. Like my opinion means the whole world opinion, but that's just how I feel, you know.
Yeah. I respect that. On that note, I want to skip to something quickly. As I said in the beginning, you had one of the biggest rhythms that was released like year before last, coming into last year, which was Breadwinner, Prince Swani. And I've been having this conversation across so many different groups that I've been involved in. And we all trying to figure out, what do you think has caused the rise of Trinidad music, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but I would say that style of dancehall across the Caribbean. As I said, I have DJ Quest here from Antigua. Quest is now producing some tracks with that same style, and I've been noticing Grenada have the Grenada dancehall now. St. Vincent have Vincy Bad and Bajan Bad or whatever. What do you think really was the cause of the rise of the Trinidad movement in terms of the music itself?
From my observation, I think is the new generation. To be honest, the new generation is a rebellious generation, and that could be bad and that could be good. Right. So within the rebellion with the new generation, especially where the artist is concerned, from my observation, they're not waiting on anybody to say yes, they like it or they don't like it. Yeah. They just doing their thing and they being themselves now.
Yeah, so, Warbados, sorry, they just like Warbados, sorry.
That's what you call it, Warbados.
Yes, Warbados is Warbados. I was not corrected. Guys are like, it's all right. It's Warbados, right, yeah.
All right. So Barbados is Warbados.
Warbados, right.
Equivalent to Trinidad.
It should be called Barbados, though. That'd be easier.
Yeah, boy.
Barbados.
Right.
I'll take out 10%.
But yeah, David, you were saying.
So working with them guys, I realized that they have an independent mentality now. So these guys starting up their own YouTube channels. Nobody told them to do that, but whereas, you know, the generations before, we were dependent on like Julian promos and depending on different platforms. These artists actually creating their YouTube pages and their fan pages, and they starting everything from scratch. You know, I posted that their work ethic. Like I had the chance to work with Prince Swani, Jalan, all these guys, and these guys will come 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 6 in the morning. It don't matter. Once the passion there, once you're calling them, they come in and they recording and they spending the time on that craft now. Right. Whereas, you know, with some other artists, I would find, you know, they might take 2 weeks. If we get them an instrumental and they're taking a month sometimes to reply, like, you know, if they're feeling it or if they ain't feeling it. And these guys they're just pressing forward, you know, rapidly. Yeah, they're aggressive.
But in that same regard, and I'm going to ask that question to the other two guys, has there ever been, and not just for probably Trinidad, but any genre in particular that you've done? Because, I mean, and guys, Millbeatz has done productions all across the board for all different genres. Has there ever been a time when an artist would have brought a song to record and forgetting the music part of it, however, it just didn't sit well with your spirit, because you spoke about getting more in touch with your spiritual self. Has there ever been a point in time when you had that kind of ethical conundrum where a man singing about taking a wherever and putting it in a wherever, and you sit down there like, you know.
You see the Street Survivors too, that's that kind of, it might sound weird, but that was a spiritual project in a sense, because I actually dreamt that whole vision or that vibe when it happened. I was dreaming that everything that happened, it happened. I would say that I was part of God's plan, because I dreamt a night just going and link DJ Pun. So I was like, all right, I ignore it. It come back again the next week, I dream it. So I link with DJ Pun. Then after everything started to fall in place with Lawless, with Bing Bang, And then like the whole journey, I was just seeing visions like who to put on it, Swanee, all them fellas. But the main thing is I know these guys and the lyrical content. So I had to kind of like put myself out of the element and go and visit these guys in their element, which is I had to like spend nights. I had to go up on the beat, pick up in Swanee, line with them, vibe with them. And eventually when we was in studio, I had to let them know, bro, here we're going on. I respect all the music. At the end of the day, you know, I like Cartel, I like Bounty, I understand that feel, but where I am concerned, I want you all learn me too now. And I just want to put out a positive message for the youths. And you know, that was all that was being done while the instrumental was playing, and them fellas light up and they're doing the thing, you know. I just kind of let them know the vision in terms of our seeing it, you know, time to take it to the next level now and broaden the topics. I give them a challenge now. Yeah. And I was shocked within 20 minutes, Swanee started to sing, man, I win our bread, win our say, you see that? We going along that vein right there.
Yeah.
You know, and that is why we as producers, we always have a responsibility and we have influence that we don't even know sometimes, you know. We could guide projects the way we want it to be too. Yeah. So that is one of the things I noticed, and I actually bring that energy to them fellas and they deliver the same way, you know.
Yeah. Static, what about you? What is your thoughts on that?
Actually, I just want to just elaborate on the last thing that Millbeatz said there, which is we need to understand that there's a clear distinction between being a beat builder or beat maker and a producer, right?
Facts, yeah.
Everybody who makes beats aren't producers, right?
True.
To produce means you are expected to mold the final sound of the project, which means you're supposed to guide the artist to where your vision is, right? Or where the collective vision is, or where it's supposed to be. You know, and I think that in itself is lacking significantly among the new and upcoming producers, because again, they're so starstruck about, you know, by getting to work with this one. Whatever happens there, that man. Yeah.
You get through.
And even if the song is good, you should be there sitting down thinking, okay, how can we make this better? You understand? You know, just recently I was working with two artists, and you know, I said, yo, fellas, I think if we switch the second verse and made that the first verse, that would take the song to a whole new level. Right? I know we went back and forth, and you know, eventually they didn't really listen, and well, what I expected to happen did happen. The song didn't do as great as it could have been, but I'm saying it did very well. But that's the difference between good and great, right? Those little things, those, you know, little adjustments. Okay, cool. We need this. We just need to learn to produce artists.
Yeah. Everyone, I want to comment on that, but I also want to pose a question to add to that as well, because again, we have a lot of people here that are trying to understand the dynamics of what you guys do. In addition to everything that the guys just said, which you could comment on, what for you has been the longest studio session you've ever had? And I don't mean like you do it and then you stop and you went and line with Adam on the avenue and come back and talk about prolonged session. Yeah.
I think I had a session like it was like 9 in the morning and we finished like 5 in the evening. So it would have been like about close to 8 hours.
Right.
That was my longest session straight.
Right.
We eat in the studio. We order pizza. First, you didn't want to stop. We order pizza and you eat in the studio, and we just that was a whole day session for me now. It happened once and it never happened again.
Right.
To go back to what Static was saying about big beat makers and producers, I agree 100%. Because anybody can make beats, but as a producer, you are guiding the final product, as he's saying. It's like a producer for a movie, you know. You are not filming as a producer or the director for a movie. You are not the one holding the camera, you know, but you are there guiding what you want to see and guiding the end product and having a say and having a vision and being part of it. Now, you know, like there's a certain level of involvement as a producer rather than a beat maker, and as a producer, you need to know that. You need to know your role and be a part of it and play that part in the song.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to the mix or the master or the song or even the recording session. But I mean, given the COVID times, a lot of artists recording themselves in other places. Even they might go by David and record and they might come back to us, you know. So like vocal production is a thing now, you know. So like David might be the one guiding my session, my beats.
Yeah.
You know, because the artist might go by him to record something for Static. You know, so David in himself has a part to play in that. And this happens all the time because I record real men songs by me. Because artists feel comfortable working with me. And it's the same thing, they feel comfortable working with Static and they feel comfortable recording by David. So they might go by them because they have a relationship already. And David now becomes a vocal producer. You know, he's in there molding the song and telling them, nah, do over this take, do that over, say this word better, and all them kind of things. And then when the vocals come to me, now I have to play my part, which is to edit, tweak, mix, master, all these different things, or send it to whoever needs to mix and master and just be a part of it now. So it's a certain level of involvement that comes with being a producer that people need to understand.
Yeah, I get
That's a serious point too, because I just want to elaborate a little bit with us, and especially while learning Trinidad here, especially, well, I could speak for the three of us. We wear 5, sometimes 6 caps.
Right.
So producing is one, but when I was out there and I learned, I was amazed to say, but wait now, but I doing this and I doing this and I doing this. When I realized there's a guy to just mix a song by itself, there's a guy to just sit down behind the board and press that record. That's all you do. Then there's a next guy in the room who just sit down and guide and do the vocal production. And then you have a guy to send it to master. And then you have the man who make the beat by itself. I realized, but we are extremely talented in the Caribbean. We learn to master like almost all those shades. And that's what we'll be doing too, you know. So sometimes we really had to remember that it's different roles that we just be taking on, you know. So I just had to stress that on the artist sometimes as well, so they can understand that breakdown.
Yeah. And as a day, I just saw Magic Touch asking, as a producer, have you made good money producing Trinidad, or is it just keeping yourself busy?
I must say, it was the intention of going in was not to make money, was to just contribute to the art form, and because of that, I must say one of my biggest checks, I must say, came from Prince Swani, breadwinner. Because I had work based on Prince Swani marketing side. You know, he did a whole music video and all those things, as well our team too. So, you know, a lot of money was spending to be made now behind that whole production.
Yeah. I get that. As we were on that same topic, I have another issue which I brought up with my team today, right? So you were just saying that there's a difference between a producer. Just remind me again, Kevin, what was a producer and a beat maker, right? In the same vein, I think that social media has created this new dynamic where we have a bunch of guys who could take a beat in the background, go in front of camera, say whatever, and get 1 million people resharing it, and all of a sudden there's artists. And I have a no, and I'm not throwing that out to anybody. I already not throwing that out to anybody, but I have a fundamental issue with this, because I think that music is something that is supposed to live on for generations. At least good music is something that's supposed to live on for generations. There's a reason why to this day a Michael Jackson record sounds fresh, or why there's a Bob Marley record sounds fresh, or any other artist that you would have known from a particular era, their music sounds fresh. I think it's because it is not just the professionalism, but it is the attention to detail that they would take in producing the song, as opposed to, well, you know, stop in front of the camera and drop a beat and whatever. You understand? Do you guys think that social media has played a negative role in that regard to some people's view of what an artist is really supposed to do when it comes down to the music? Kevin, I'm gonna start with you.
Honestly, I don't think that there are any negative effects with respect to, social media influence on music.
Right.
Because what we need to understand is, and I've said this before, music is art.
Right.
Not everybody would understand every piece of art, right? But at the same time, it's guaranteed that X amount of people will like this, X amount of people will hate this. You understand?
Right.
So if as an individual, you say, okay, as an artist, and you understand your audience, and you're able to get thousands of views, millions of views, and even turn that viewership
into money.
Sure, you get through. I am supporting you all the way. Big man thing, I am supporting you 24/7 because that's what it's supposed to be. Because if you look at a lot of the artists that we glorify, they're not doing it correctly. They are not. You understand? And these new ones, these little sensations, they're capitalizing. They get it.
Right.
In a song, it may be a little difficult for us to swallow, but that's reality. So I will never hate on these people. I will support them. Yo, go. Just go and get smart with it.
Yeah. Mevon.
I agree 100%. It's the same with any other brand. I mean, now we have this term influencers, social media influencers. So like if you know no, but I'm saying that there are companies who don't do well on social media and they use traditional means of marketing. There's an average girl who just comes on, hi guys, and they get real views, dog. So that is the reality. The game changed now, boy. So like you can't hate on a boy for on an instrumental and singing wherever you need to sing and get money and become an artist and make his money.
Is he really making money?
Well,
some of them, not all, but some of them getting shows and things. Yeah. And I mean, some of them starting off to distribute the song and have it on iTunes and thing now too.
Right,
because as I said, the game has changed.
No, I respect them, I respect
the digital world.
Don't get me wrong. Look, and I'm going to tell you something. I was telling a friend of mine this, a couple of friends, I was telling them about this the last couple of weeks. I invite everybody here, including you guys, if you have not looked at it as yet, look for the HBO documentary Fake Famous, which basically shows you how they took 3 people who were nobodies and made them into influencers through social media. It's a really good documentary. But the point I want to make is that even with that documentary, there was one girl who took the fake famous clout and she actually built it into a business. Yep. So I have no qualms at all with that. Yeah. What I have the issue with is somebody now who go and stop in front of a phone or whatever, whatnot. You have 30,000 followers and you call yourself an artist, but you're not really treating the business with the respect that the respect deserves. That is what my issue is.
Well, I agree with that point as well, because there are a lot of that happening. There are a lot of fly-by-night artists and one-hit wonders who just have a song trending on social media and they're not really real artists now. Like they don't approach the game with that level of professionalism and seriousness when it comes to really understanding the business, as David was mentioning earlier, and really putting in the hours and the time into developing themselves as an artist. They're just looking for quick likes and quick fame. So if that's what you're talking about, I have no respect for that at all. But who am I to say, hey, do use social media for that, for the kicks? I mean, at the end of the day, everybody's free to do what they want.
No, man, you can use it for kicks.
But I mean, in terms of being considering it an artist,
look, I can use it for kicks, but don't come and tell me now $3,000 per hour on one social media. I can't do it. I can't do it.
And that happened to it. It's I can't do
it. I can't do it.
I can't do that either.
The hustle is real.
David, you want to chime into this quick because I want to move on to the next point, but go ahead.
I mean, I am kind of guilty, I guilty.
Tell him.
I guilty of taking advantage of that in the sense of I didn't remember about mother slap chop,
Oh yeah, oh yes, boy, yeah, slap
so
chop, yeah. You
was
produce
I'm
that.
sorry, that was you
Yeah, you produce that. Well, let me ask you. I forget to do slap chop, you know. When it come to your left is slap, when it come to your right is chop, slap chop. Way, dog, yo.
basically it works in a positive light because it highlights, somebody and the following, but at the same time, it's always lasts a certain amount of time, It's really short. Most times the probability is the ratio is the short term. The short term, most times with the artists that bust on the internet like that,
Yeah, I seen DJ Quest here saying what about those that don't have the funds to approach the business how they really want to. But I mean, I guess to me is what you put into it. And if it is your intention is to learn the business and to build yourself as an artist and at some point in time have the money to do what it is that you want to do, that's great. But as I say, you can't begin my tune with 3 lines in it on a beat and then tell me like $2,000 for a half hour, dog.
I have a response to that question.
Sure.
It's first of all, when you ask yourself this question, you need to ask yourself this question.
It's a piece.
No, check it out.
No, not you. There's Jerome in the chat saying pieces, yes.
Yeah. After, you have to ask yourself, is this a business? If it is, I'm going to sell bottled water, right?
Right.
You need to invest in your business.
How about investment?
Right? You cannot just say, well, I want to sell bottled water and go buy Blue Waters and beg them for water and sell.
Right.
You need to invest in your business. Right? So if it is you approach your business as a business and you invest, save your money and invest in your product, whether you're a producer, artist, whatever. If you're a producer, make your beats and collaborate with somebody, and obviously you may not get paid or you might make your money on the back end or whatever, but you need to put in the work and align yourself with people who could help you.
Yeah.
If you're an artist, ask to jump on a rhythm or write a song for somebody else. Or, as I said, invest your small money, buy a beat online, do something. But you need to invest time, effort, and money into yourself now. That's the only way. It can't just happen like that.
Yeah, I get that. And that's a good segue to the other question I wanted to ask you guys about, which really has to do with Carnival, soca, and the business in that regard. Early last year, at the beginning of the pandemic, I had a conversation with Just Jay from Barbados on the Groove Theory 1-on-1. And we were talking about if he would release music for what would have been crop over at the point in time. And he had a response to that. And I just want to play that response and then get you guys' opinion to the next side. Right? So this is here.
And I don't expect people to. If they did, that would be nice. But again, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I am super business oriented, and music is not just a passion for me. This is what we do for a living. Right. So to ask somebody to spend a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 putting out a record when there's no crop over to prop it up, or no fets for it to play in, I hope that with 7 million live streams going on that you get a spin, is a little unreasonable to ask for me, and I don't expect anybody to do it. But if they did it, kudos to them. But music is very expensive.
So essentially, at that point in time, we were looking at the possibility of what would be the benefits of the music being released at crop over, or what would have been crop over. Are you guys happy with the response of the music community in what was supposed to be Carnival, where we didn't have a Carnival? And what advice do you think you could give to producers actually who are in some of these smaller market islands? And I'm not going to say small islands, but I'm saying smaller market islands because the general consensus is trying to make the mecca of soca within the region in that regard. But I know we have a lot of producers and a lot of artists in different places wondering, like, there's no Carnival, there's no crop over, there's no whatever mass. What then should the decisive factor be into how do they grow their business when there is no season to celebrate the business?
Well, I would say this. We have a responsibility, which is, producers, writers, artists. We have a responsibility to build something.
Right.
And that something is the genre of soca.
Right.
Right? We have something that we're calling soca that's not recognized internationally as a genre of music. We do not exist. To not exist and sit back and say, oh, well, nah, pandemic, nah, we ain't doing the music, that is insanity.
Right.
I agree.
Because it means that we're giving up on something, on a movement that hasn't even happened yet officially.
Right.
That can't work. That, you understand? And we sit down, we say, oh, why they wouldn't give us a seat at the table? Why they wouldn't do this? How they gonna do that if, oh, we not releasing music because we don't have carnival? That doesn't make any sense. It is our responsibility to consistently be putting out music and figuring out how to get that music streamed on a regular basis, right? Get exponential growth on those streams, because without that, we're not getting a seat in the table.
But let me push back on that just a little bit. In the sense of, again, I understand Justin's position last year about the financial aspect of it. And I do respect from the side of defending it for the culture. But which he did say that, you know, at the end of the day, he would support anybody that's doing it. But as Lyrical and all was saying when I had the live with him last week, at the end of the day, he can't really fight somebody who may not have the resources to do what is that they would like to do compared to somebody else. I mean, there are people who are innovative and can find ways to do it. And some people already might not be that innovative, or they might be more challenged than others to be able to do it. So then again, where is the balance for that? Where is the balance for that coming to actually still be able to make the industry move forward with all those challenges?
Well, I mean, realistically, I do not think that there's any, you know, notable artist that can't have a conversation with a producer.
Right.
Call a producer and say, yo, it's pandemic. I don't have any money. You understand? But I really want to release a song for the season. Let's work together. You understand? And let's split whatever we're doing, you understand, a particular way. That way you benefit from the back end without me having to physically give you anything. So it doesn't cost me anything outside of time and effort.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the artists now could look at themselves and say, well, for the season I usually do 5 songs. Let me just do one. Let me just put on my energy and push it into one. One is better than 0.
Yeah.
But to sit down and say, oh, because of the pandemic, I'm not doing no songs, that is unfair.
Yeah. David, what about you in terms of that regard? Do you think that it might be more than just the financial aspect? Probably could have been a creative aspect in terms of, you know, you can't catch the kind of vibe you want to given what was going on?
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes, you know, especially as with my situation, I was at a standstill in terms of like creativity and all those different things, you know. So I was held back for a while, but at the same time, I realized that the juices started to flow more and more with the space, and I realized that I wanted to contribute something genuinely, just to give back to the fans and all those things. So it wasn't about money, and it wasn't about like me receiving anything. So and I also realized that the whole model and the whole business changed now, in the sense of like I wasn't charging for production, but I realized the artist too wasn't performing anywhere. So like the Love Doctor rhythm that we just put out there.
Problem Child, Pretty, and Patrice Roberts, right? Right.
Yeah. I approached the artist with wanting to share pieces of the master, you know. So in that way, because I showed them that consideration, that understanding of performing at the same time, but the same way we both would have to exchange marketing services together, and, you know, make sure that you use your platforms and all those things to your max, the same way that I would use my potential with the instrumental and provide a song, you know.
Right.
So we as Static says, it's all about negotiation, but the main aim was to just keep the soca music pumping and straight throughout the year too, you know. The COVID kind of gave us the opportunity too, that we don't have to box it into a season or 3 months or whatever is the case. We could extend it straight throughout the year and love soca music straight throughout the year, and with the aim of bringing it to be recognized on the iTunes and all them different things. You know?
Well said.
Mev, you said earlier that you kind of use this time to kind of dig into more work, if you're gonna put it like that. What for you, or how were you able to take everything that was going on in the world at the point in time in Trinidad and Tobago and everywhere else, and turn that into being able to actually be creative to do what you've been able to do. Because many people would say like, I can't catch a vibe, I can't, for whatever reason, you're not able to go out and how. And I mean, something that David said earlier, which I want to really stress to everybody here, you see mental health and being able to understand yourself emotionally. I am a strong believer that as men, we need to continuously talk about that. And it's not something that we mention a lot. But at the same point, to them is important because where one person during the pandemic would have been extremely productive, somebody else in some corner of the universe can't catch a break, right? And you have to be able to find that person and be able to give them some motivation to understand how to get to the other end of the spectrum. So that's why for me, I find it real interesting that you said that during that whole time you were able to just put in a lot of work. Like what for you were you why were you able to do that with so many different things that were going on at any point in time?
Well, as I said, like the pandemic really made me focus.
Right.
It was one of those things where I had no distractions in terms of people and things happening and events. I literally was stuck in the studio in my house, and by the time I started working for myself full time, one of my really good friends told me, he was like, I'll give you one piece of advice, and that is like, show up to work every day. Right. And as Alec was mentioning before, I wake up, and I'm a morning person. I wake up really early. I go to bed late and I wake up really early, which is bad, right?
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah. So like, and I realized that because I had time, like David was saying, I had time, I could reflect on myself and I see my shortcomings and I know what I need to improve on within myself. But still, that remains the fact that I am a morning person. When I wake up, I show up to work just like if I was working in the government.
Correct.
And I put myself here. Not every day I'd feel to make a beat, but you know what? I could clean up my computer, I could download new programs, I could go on YouTube and I could learn something. And that for myself is still education and progress. Yeah. Progress doesn't mean I need to make a song every day. It doesn't mean I have to make a beat every day. It doesn't mean I have to write a song. It doesn't mean I have to do anything related to that. But there's so much other things. I organize my business. I want to register my thing. I want to do all my different business sides of things during the pandemic as well too. Bank account, all of these different things. Like my business again owner.
Yeah.
And I was putting that off for years.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying there's so much different aspects. It's not just about creating music. As I said, you need to look at it as a business. So there's certain business and administrative things that need to happen to keep the gears turning.
Like a press kit, huh? I'm just saying that for the travel, yeah? Like an updated press kit, huh?
But it's funny you say that because that's something that I recently started. Because I didn't have that before.
Right.
So I didn't know how to organize my promo material and bio and this stuff.
Yeah, you all had my research team going crazy today. Like that was a big talk in the chat. Yeah.
No, but all of these things are things that add to the development. So people have this misconception that as a producer, all you need to do is make music.
Is make music, yeah.
No. And if you are successfully running a business, you are the CEO, the director of your company, you have administrative things that you need to take care of too. And I did a lot of that. And going back to the musical side of things, you have 365 days in a year, right? If you invest 30 days out of 365 days to get 1 or 2 songs, you have no excuse. You can't tell me for 365 days you did nothing and you wasn't inspired at all. I'm not taking that. Sorry. Yeah. I'm a workaholic. My work ethic is crazy. But if you have a whole year and you can't at least make 1 track, if it is you are serious, then I can't take you serious. Sorry,
well, I'll say this in kind of defense of that to some extent. At a point in time last year, I was going through a challenge of myself where I was not inspired. I'm comfortable because I had this conversation with DJ Adam actually.
No, but Shomari, I suppose there too, like as I said, like there were times out of that 365 days last year I did nothing but play Warzone with my partners.
Right.
I was playing real game. I'm a gamer now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There were days and months in which I made no money. I spent no money, and all I do was play game.
Right. But I
And
still
that's
do,
real talk.
I still do think that there have been some people that really took this time to really just see about themselves. And even in that itself is work, you know. Like, even
But
if
that's what I'm saying. You
You're
can't
right.
look at it as making music alone.
Yeah, you can't look at it as making music alone.
like David in particular, the man say he work on himself.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and I'm sure David in a much better mental space,
yeah,
a much better mental stage where he could now produce hits.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
mentally he in it now.
yeah,
And you
yeah,
see that mental health thing, as you rightfully say, is something that we take for granted.
yeah,
And when you have the time to really focus on yourself, right? Everything will start flowing after that.
yeah.
And we don't look at that as work now. We don't
Yeah.
look at that as self-development and
You're
development
right.
and
No,
progress.
you're very right, because even same Just Jay, he basically came off of Instagram for the year. Like the last 8 months, he was off of
To
Instagram
focus, right?
to focus on himself. And he actually put out a status yesterday or today, 182, essentially saying, just for everybody to know, I'm alive, I'm good, I'm back in the studio, working on some things, needed to come off of social media to work on myself, but I have some new stuff coming up. I'll be back on socials. So to everybody else that tuned in, even if it is that you didn't produce a beat or produce a song, but you took this time to work on yourself, that is
Progress.
still a development, that is progress, you know. And that is what we're really about here. We're really about trying to make progress by any means necessary now, you know. And again, progress doesn't necessarily have to mean a track. Progress could actually mean working on yourself and becoming a better person at the end of it.
Or
Yeah.
there, as I said, there's administrative things that people don't see in running a business. That you get your business in again.
Yeah.
You know, your bank account set up, you have your PayPal, you have all these different things, your revenue streams in again.
Have your cash up if you're a DJ.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
and
right,
you just
right.
open Cash App and
DJ
Zelle,
open Cash App.
whatever it is now. So all of these things
You're
are
right.
things that DJs didn't have before.
Yeah, you're right.
How much
you're right.
DJs had pay Cash App and Zelle, whatever you pronounce it. They
Yeah.
didn't have these things before.
Yeah.
But now, through the pandemic, men had to make money, and men going live and people paying them now, even on Spotify.
Yeah.
You could pay your PayPal thing now, and I do that
Yeah.
because men had to live.
Yeah. I get
So
that.
I'm just saying now, it have real different work. And maybe because I work so much in corporate, I use my time and I value my time differently now. I look at it as anything I do that is working on myself and my business,
Yeah.
I consider that work now. You know, it's not only about playing the keyboard and making beats. There's administrative things that have to be done.
Yeah.
Us.
I have two questions again to ask you guys, and I want to wrap up again for tonight because we've been on way past the time that I thought we
We're
would have
gonna
been.
play game too, though.
But at the same point, I appreciate the conversation. Yeah, I see play game and stream on Twitch. I just see that at the bottom. So quickly, I want to pose these last two questions to the three of you all. Quickly, I'm gonna start with David. What has been for you your most challenging project to work on, and how has that made you a better producer?
A good question.
One, for sure, it's challenging projects, right? There's a few.
Right, but
But,
if you could call one project that was like real challenging, what was that?
I think, to be honest, one of the challenging projects was around the Project 5 Rhythm.
Right, which would be Dennis Belfon, Benjai, Marshall, correct, right, yeah.
And the reason for that was because that was at a period of time that I was now understanding the business and learning from it. And it took somebody to like have a belly move to start like talking to these artists and negotiating on that side, you know. So like luckily I had writers like Emmanuel Rudder, big him up, and Dale Ryan and all those guys. So all of them, they were journeying with me around that time. And I mean, one of the challenges was actually approaching the artists. I remember once, like one of the particular artists, you know, I remember that they
He really won't call a name at all, boy. He won't call a name, boy.
when we approach them on the master side, they say, but who's all here? You know?
Right.
Who's all here to approach us on this kind of vibe? Nobody in the history ever do this before. So you're like, wow. Then
Yeah,
another one of the artists chatting one of the writers to cuff him in the face.
Boom.
So we kept we had
Whoa.
some real rough challenges around that time because the artists didn't understand the shift in business. Like nobody never before used to like talk about these things before the project started, you know. And I mean, even like within the project being successful and stuff, there were things in between that, like Soca Monarch, that we started to learn. You know, you get royalties from the Soca Monarch competitions, endorsements, and start putting all those things in place. So from a business point of view, I think the Project 5 was a real good learning experience. Within everything that happened, we learn a lot business-wise from that project.
Just for everybody that asking me, no, David is not going to say who are the artists that were involved in your altercations, but I will say, if you go and you research the rhythm and you see the artists who are on the rhythm, you might be able to deduce who might be who. I mean, I just say it's a couple of artists on the rhythm, but we're not saying who the artists are. Kevin, what
Every single artist on the rhythm, I already know. We went through our waiver together. We went through that boat together, and we good now. Everybody cool.
Easy life for the party. Anyway, Kevin, most challenging project you worked on?
I would have to say Raise for Fian.
With Fian, right.
Yeah. And more so, it was more of a creative challenge because for me, I saw that as what would have made or broken me before I even started in the Trini market.
Right.
So that song, I actually produced that song 5 times.
Wow.
Granted that she never heard 5 different versions, but I really produced that song 5 times because I remember the first shot I took at it. I was really feeling myself, and at the time I was working closely with one of my writers, Razor, and he came and like playing it, and I'm so hyped. I'm like, yeah, she gonna love this. And he was like,
no,
bro,
yeah,
like, this is, what I mean, it's all right, but it's not great, what I mean. And just him saying that was all I needed. So I just kept going. I just kept looking for something different because I wanted now to kind of shift soca from just being exclusively euphoric music to try to tap into a different type of emotion. Because a lot of people, when they listen to that song, you understand, they get to tap into more than just happy music, you understand? Just from the introduction comes straight down, it almost touches the soul. So that for me was by far the most challenging project that I did.
Yeah, facts. Mev, most challenging project?
The most challenging project I had was actually last year. It was that One Link Rhythm.
Okay.
That was Pretty and Jesse and
Mecca Atesha.
And he not loved the first song on it.
Right, yeah.
Simply because of it happened during the pandemic, right? And it was so much different parties involved with writers and artists, and it was me and Beyond, and it was so much different people involved in that project behind the scenes that it just became tedious. And as I said, sorting out the business, like what David was saying, was just a headache, because getting everybody on board, getting everybody to sign certain things and agree on certain things and organize sessions and back and forth with getting songs done and recording during the pandemic. Or this was in the height of the pandemic. This was supposed to be, that rhythm was supposed to be a summer rhythm last year, and we pulled it back to November.
Right.
So I was working like all around this time, which was like April, May, around that time. All of this was happening. As I said, this was when it was on a serious lockdown, where we couldn't even leave our houses and things. It was a serious challenge to get all of those things done and completed within that time frame. So that One Link Rhythm was a real challenging rhythm for me to.
Yeah. Quickly, and this is a question I had from a team as well today too. I'll start with you, Mev, and just go around quickly because I want to get to the final question fast. Certification over practical experience. Which one do you take?
Practical experience.
Practical experience.
Yeah.
Right. So, but Would you say the certification is an assistance to it or is not a necessity?
I mean, it's an assistance, but I wouldn't say it's a necessity because I used to duck music in school.
Right.
I duck real music class because all I was learning to do was how to play Maria Little Lamb on the recorder and play Steel Pan, and I didn't like none of that. You know? I didn't want to play the recorder in school. I mean, thank God I know little things about octave and treble, clef and quaver. I know all these kind of things because I'm a basic knowledge in it. But like, I wouldn't say the game changed. Like, I mean, once you have a good ear for music, you don't need to learn. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but it's not necessary at this stage. Technology has made life so much easier for a producer. That the dependency to learn music theory, I think, is not a huge thing anymore, right? Certification in terms of like, I don't know what, like you could
whether sound engineering or music engineering or whatever it is.
What it does, it adds validity to your name.
Correct.
That you're certified or whatever, but that doesn't really do much anymore because a lot of these songs you're doing is YouTube men making beats and selling it and YouTube artists, and a lot of things happen just because of social media and technology now. So my opinion is no.
David, you agree with that or?
Well, my thing, practical, I will always say practical over certification because, you know, there's no better on than hands-on. But only where certification is concerned, I would always say make sure your business registered and you have that certificate that you could show, because I learned that banks, you know, on that side of it, there's one to see them little different documents now. So where the business is concerned and your whole production suite and everything, I would always advise to have your business registered and show that certificate for further businesses, you know.
Yes, start it quickly on that.
Yeah, I would definitely prefer practical over certification. And you know, it really boils down to again, being learned, you tend to be boxed in. Boxed in people don't fare well creatively. Right. It's limited. So, you know, even those big recording studios and those things, they shy away from taking people who are certified.
Yeah.
Because realistically, they feel like, okay, they've been taught X you understand, for them to unlearn that and learn how we do things or how we need, it's going to be difficult. Might as well we just take somebody, you understand, who we can just mold from scratch.
Yeah. I get that. Folks, I want to get to the final question for the night. And, you know, before I give this question, I really want to thank you guys for your time. This question actually came from somebody within my team. And I tried to structure it in a particular way. But first, before I ask the question, I'm assuming that the three of you have no children, correct? Or wrong?
I have no kids now.
I have no kids.
I don't know why something feeling like this question.
No. It's not off question. No, it actually is not off question. I actually found it to be a very profound question. In the sense that it is the hope and the expectation that in the next 10 or less, let me say less than that, because I want to put good favor on you guys. You all are going to be not just the hot producer in the country, but you all are now going to be the leaders going into this generation and beyond, because we want to look at you guys as the biggest in what you do, right? But obviously, this point in time would have been an extremely big challenge for you. And what one of my friends was saying is that years from now, whenever you have your children, and you look back at this point in time, because remember, there's a creative business, and for everybody, that is what the Creative Collective is about. It's about creative businesses, right? You'll have to look back at this point in time and try to explain to your kids what you think is the most important thing that you need to equip yourself through challenges. I thought that to be a really, really profound question, which I plan on asking my guests for the remainder of the season of the Creative Collective this season. So let me start with David, because David thought it was an off question, but it's not off question. When really and truly years from now you have your kids and you have to sit down, explain to them when we had COVID-19 and yada blah blah, or you have to wear a mask for the whole day, daddy. Yada. What do you think is going to be the thing that you tell them the most to get through times like this as a creative professional?
As a creative, I would always say make space for your mind and your thoughts. You know, that's one of the main things that really and truly I had to do. Is seeing that so many things. So it was in the pandemic, as I said, it was actually family issues, it was relationship issues, it was all kind of thing coming down at one.
Right.
You know. So at the point in time, I was forced back against a wall to say, you know what, I need to sort out each and every single one, dissect them. And meditation was something that really helped. And you see spirituality, you see God, you see that man above. You always have to keep that connection and that relationship with him, because we can't do it normally with our human self. You know, we in design like that. It's more than that now. Spiritually is spiritual battles you just face, you know.
Yeah.
So you really have to keep that word with you and just keep that mental space, you know.
Yeah. Wow. Mevon.
Said, I think David hit the nail on the head. Like it all comes from within, and based on my experience, I had to dig deep. You know, I had to put my head down and really put in the work, and that's something that you can't really teach somebody to do. It's something that you have to feel and you have to believe. It's something that you have to say to yourself that I am going to do this, and I want this, and I'm going to work hard for it.
Despite everything, yeah.
Despite what, you know, sometimes you just have to really zone in and go for what it is you want in life now. And couple that with what David just said, is have a strong spiritual relationship with God and yourself, your own self. Because your personal mental health is very important too, because you might even be doubting yourself, you might be depressed, you might be sad at certain situations, you might certain family things might happen in your life might happen at you, you know, it might come at you and you might be dealing with all kind of different stresses and things. So you need to look at your mental and physical health too, because hey, we stuck home eating food right through now, so we putting on weight and all kind of things. So like all of these things just help now, boy. So like you really have to make time for yourself and dig deep and pray and just, you know, have that zen within yourself now.
Yeah, and not zen on Keith Street, but you know,
within yourself.
Kevin, lead us off as the final word on that point.
Well, you know, to add to that, I would definitely encourage them to learn how to be malleable at an early stage, because the thing is, pandemic or not, nothing stays the same.
Yeah.
There are always going to be challenges. We're always going to be faced with them, and we need to learn to adapt and change to suit consistently, right?
True.
This is literally, you know, like the main thing required of our species to evolve, right? And to evolve, we must be able to let go of the past, let go of this way of thinking, and start to embrace another. You understand? Yeah. So once we're able to do that, we're always going to be fine.
Yeah, and there's always say that the most constant thing in life is change. And exactly. even with me, like trying to figure out the DJ landscape for the last couple of months, I realized that by having these conversations with different guys like you and creatives like you, it builds a particular type of energy that helps push you on to the next step. And you would not believe, just by, as I said, digging down within yourself, finding that spirituality and being able to push forward, how it is by doing all that, you might figure out and know things about yourself on a greater level that you probably didn't know pre-pandemic. You understand? Because as you guys know, we all have been home, but at the same point, each of us have been able to develop and find new talents, and not even new talents, but I would say latent talents that we had that now we are able to display in a broader way. Not just for the benefit of ourselves, but for the benefit of those that are around us. You understand? And I think in itself, that has really been the biggest advantage of having this downtime, which has been able to dig within yourself and find things about yourself that you probably weren't spending time to figure out before. You understand? And I have to say that the three of you guys, again, are a really good example of why something like the Kreative Kollective Podcast exists. Because, again, as Lyrical said last week, you know the success, but you don't know the story. And I think when you look at the story of you guys and what you guys have been able to overcome, what you guys have been able to do, especially at this point in time, I think everybody tonight would have been a little bit more appreciative of the kind of work that you guys have put in, the sacrifices that you guys have made, and the journey that you guys have taken to where you are and where you're going to go. So, I really want to thank the three of you guys, Explicit, Millbeatz, and Static, for coming on the podcast tonight. I know everybody that tuned in for the entire night, even though some of them wanted some bacchanal to know who the artist was that Cosway David in the studio and thing, people still want to know, right? But at the same point in time, outside that, I think everybody is a little bit better from viewing something like this tonight with you guys. And I really, really want to thank you guys for making time for the podcast tonight, man. Really thank you.
Man. And on our end too, we appreciate what you're doing too with the creative. We definitely appreciate it too, man, being here.
Yeah, man. All right. So we'll pick up very soon, all of you guys. Right? May have a show Adam go and carry somewhere till like, in a while. Right? David, you're literally a Trinitarian, so you're right across the road there. And even though Mev talk about being home and eating and them kind of thing, I mean, always see Static. So that man in the gym or doing something. Static. If production don't work for you, you could be a linebacker for some NFL team or something, dog. Like seriously, you could be a linebacker for an NFL team.
Don't be fooled.
All right. I hear you, brother. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for being on the podcast tonight, and we'll pick up very, very soon. All right.
All right, man.
Yeah, man. Blessings. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was our show tonight. The Creative Collective Podcast with Static, Millbeatz, and of course, Explicit Mevon inside the show tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as I said before, I'm quite certain that everybody that tuned in tonight is a better person from listening to what these guys would have gone through to be able to build where they are and to get where they are. So I thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Every time you guys tune in, it's really, really appreciated. Before we go, just want to shout out Hype Gear. So as I told you guys, I got the t-shirt, I got the hat. Make sure and check out Hype Gear on Instagram. That's hype_gear_. They have a new clothing line that is launching again from this Friday. So make sure and get your Hype Gear on for sure. Control Entertainment, as always, for the lighting in the back of me. If it is that you need lighting for events or any kind of event production, Control Entertainment is where you guys can go. Control_entertainment on Instagram. Make sure and follow them. And of course, this stream is sponsored by Travi. And just remember, Travi takes the stress out of your daily commute. Make sure and download Travi right now. There's the SOS feature in case you have an emergency. 3 friends you can tag and get in contact with them in case there's an emergency right now. So make sure and download Travi. All right. A quick programming note, guys. We have just about 2 more episodes for this season of the Creative Collective Podcast. Next week, I'm going to be joined by 3 guys, possibly might be 4, inside what we call the Blueprint. It's something that we started in season 1 where we talked to some male entrepreneurs. This year, going back to the roots of what I'm known for. So I'm going to have 3 DJs on the inside next week. Please look out for the information this week because we're not just going to talk about the state of events internationally because of COVID, but we're also going to talk about some of the things that come with the DJ business, relationships and all. So yeah, I hope that you guys tune in next week, Tuesday, for that edition of the Creative Collective Podcast. 1 week from that, we're also going to be doing The Present is Female, talking to some female entrepreneurs as well. So I'm hoping that you guys can tune in for that program as well. It's going to be really, really informative. And, I'm looking forward to doing this show that I do every season. I'm going to make sure that the Present is Female, and of course, that blue is done every single season of the Creative Collective Podcast once we hear, right? Once again, shout out to my team for the support that they always give me. The guys know who they are. Every single time we do a podcast, they're the ones that are responsible for making this entire thing possible. So thank you to the team and to everybody that tuned in tonight for this episode. I'll see you guys next week. Remember, the audio from the podcast is on Spotify. You can find it at the Creative Collective Podcast on Spotify. Look for it on the Digicel Go Loud app and on the Apple Podcast app. Also, please make sure and subscribe and like this channel at Redymix DMTV on YouTube. And of course, follow us on Instagram at the Kreative Kollective Podcast. And if you have any suggestions that you want to put for the show or any comments that you want to shoot to me personally, you can follow me on social media on Facebook and Instagram at Shomari KRL. All right, so that's it for your show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And again, see you next week.
Shomari KRL and Redymix DMT presents Lockdown, the freestyle mixtape series designed for you to have a personal party while you shelter in place.
Call me, yeah. The look of my not good. Better you somebody else. Call me, yeah.
Lockdown. Lockdown, the shelter in place mixtape series. Download via SoundCloud, iTunes, podcast, or visit the home of the DMT Nation at www.redymixdmt.com.
It's Travi, your number one right here around the island. Motoda, call him Travi. Whoop tele, whoop tele, whoop tele. Now say whoop tele, whoop tele, whoop tele, whoop tele, whoop tele. Book a trip right now. Calling Travi, calling Travi now. Yes, you could book a trip instantly. Calling Travi now. Calling Travi. Calling Travi now. Reliable service and the rate's good. Check a taxi. Travi, Travi, Travi everywhere. Hey. Taking Travi everywhere. Travi, Travi, Travi everywhere. Taking taxi everywhere. Travi, Travi, Travi everywhere. Taking Travi everywhere. Travi, Travi, Travi everywhere. Taking Travi everywhere. Travel stress free with Travi, your number one rideshare app. Download now. Motoda.
This is Sonelia for Lava.
Sonelia boosts diversity.
Make sure you see what you want, buy what you like.
So I walk over to the artisan, so
let's stay sober.
Got a whole heap of different type of games.